in order to better understand people's thinking and their framing, we refer to the tweets on Xinlang Weibo, the Chinese counterpart of Twitter. So we use keyword search. We use the Kunming and the PX as two keywords to search all the relevant tweets on Weibo during this time period. And after downloading all the Weibo tweets, we manually coded all the tweets, and then we use some analysis methods to account for the overall amount of the people's various kinds of framings, and also we calculated its daily percentages of different frames. So here is the overview of the major frames. We can see there are 10 very specific frames, but according to the literature, we can see the first two is about environmental risk and health risk. That's about the risk literature, the first two, right? And then the second two is about the citing, the problem of citing. The first is about unscientific citing, and the other is about unjust. So the third and the fourth is about citing. And then the fifth and sixth is about the problem of public participation. So the fifth is about insufficient participation channels, and the sixth is about the information disclosure is not enough. So we can see that the first six kind of frames cannot actually account for the whole framing of all the residents. And the last four is what we would like to argue, that is people's general discontent in local government. And we would like to discuss it in detail in the following parts. First is about environmental and health risks. We can see that in terms of the amount, total amount, this is a dominant discourse in this incident, that about 24% people mention health risks, and about 38% mention environmental risks. So, yes, and but then I would like, this is the first, and the second is about criteria of citing. So about 16% mentioned that the place is not suitable for the siting of this oil refining project, because actually Kunming City has already suffered from the problem of drought. And since this oil refining project will demand a lot of water, so this kind of project may aggravate the drought problem. That's almost the main reason why people actually oppose this kind of facility. And we can see that very few people actually complain about that the siting is unjust or something like that. It's only about 2%. And the third is about the policy process of public participation. So actually, the percentage is also very low. Only 6% people complain about insufficient participation channels, and 3% is about that the government hasn't, disclosed enough information. So this is quite surprising, because it is very in contrast to existing literature. Existing literature actually emphasizes a lot on this policy process, and it seems that it has an assumption: if the government can provide more information and can improve its public participation process, maybe the residents can better chances the residents can cooperate. But from this analysis, we can see that maybe this is not a major concern for those residents. So, and then we will talk about the discontent in government. So as we got the insight from the literature, we can see that maybe local residents' complaint is not specific to that particular incident, which means the PX project. It may also be linked, connected to a more broader, discontent in the government. So here, from the analysis, we can see there are 4 very specific aspects why people are very discontent in the government. First, we can see that there are about 6.7% people complain that they do not trust in government. So this is quite understandable, because in China, with civil society is still underdeveloped. So all the universities or research institutions and even media are, not so independent, cannot be independent from the government. So most of the experts that speak for this project work for the patron China or work for the government. And most of mass media are controlled by the government. So that's why the kind of official discourse or explanation of this kind of project very hard to convince those ordinary citizens. So in fact, the citizens tend not to believe these official explanations. So the second is about people complain about government corruption and many other malfeasance. And this is quite high percentage, which account for about 14%. So this is because actually most residents mentioned that the government has failed their expectation in many aspects, such as high rate of corruption and not being able to solve the drought problem we mentioned before, and also conducting too many construction in the city, which caused a lot of inconvenience for people's daily life, something like that. So their argument is that if the local government cannot solve these existing problems, how can they have the ability to appropriate, administer, and supervise the PX project? So, and the third aspect of discontent in government is about the government put too much emphasis on the local GDP growth. So as it is widely noted that actually local GDP growth is a very, almost the most important performance that those local leaders can demonstrate to their superior officials, which in turn may win them better chances to be promoted. So in this case, actually, this kind of large scale of facilities is a very precious opportunity for those local leaders to advance their economic development. And according to the report, actually, the estimated output of this project is almost equal to 1/10 of GDP of the whole province. So, but this is on the one hand. On the other hand, actually, ordinary residents can hardly get any benefit or compensate from this project. Only the relocated villagers, which is exactly at the site of these facilities, can get some compensation to be relocated. But for other residents in Anning and in Kunming, actually, while suffering from such kind of environmental risks, they cannot get any compensation. Thank you very much. So that's why actually all the credit actually goes to the local government. So the last is about the control of public opinion. From the very beginning, actually, the local government has made a lot of effort to control the public opinion, such as deleting all the tweets on the Weibo and send some notice to the universities and demanding all the teachers and the students to sign some promise then not to participate in the protest, and not to disseminate the information, etc. So this also aroused some resistance among the residents. So I need to be quick. Next, I will talk about some dynamic trend of these risks. That is, it is not just amount, but it actually can change with the whole incident. So this is the trend of the environmental and health risks. We can see that although its amount is quite dominant, but its trend is declining. So maybe this may suggest that maybe it can explain the mobilization for the first protest, but it is not enough actually to sustain the whole contention. So this is some statistics to confirm the trend. And the second is about policy making, which including the citing and the participation. We can see generally all the policy making is at a very low level, less than 10%. Only this unscientific citing have a little climax, but we do not have time to go to details. We can have it in Q&A. So here we can see that this is the trend of the discontent in government of the four aspects. What we would like to note is that actually you can see the distrust in government. Generally speaking, it is not very high, but it is very low at first. arise in the late stage of the contention. And this is also verified by our statistical analysis. So a very brief discussion. So we would like to try to review the literature of NIMBYism and try to say that some explanations such as risk frames and the policy process may not be the only reason that can fully understand people's motivation to participate in the protest. We would like to argue that the frames of general discontent in government deserves also scholar attention, especially in urban China. And especially we can see that the distrust in government significantly increased in the late stage of this contention, which led to the second protest. This means that maybe the distrust is not fixed. It is not, there at the beginning, but in the whole interaction process with the government and the citizens, maybe the distrust can go up. For example, because of the, in some public, although in the process the local government tried to, try to communicate with citizens through some public hearings, but it was criticized that it is not so sincere to hear their voices and just a show. And also, since the government tried so hard to contain those, public opinion, which also aroused the distrust of the local citizens. So, thank you very much.